How's it going, everyone? Welcome to week 6 of the course. The first thing you want to do after you watch this intro video, if you didn't have a chance to turn in Lab 4 last week, please get it in. I extended the due date until the 30th, but you don't have to wait that whole time. Lab 4, for those of you that haven't looked at it yet, is a modification of Lab 3. If you remember in Lab 3, we asked the user to enter an integer between 1 and 10, but we didn't validate that that number was actually between 1 and 10. So in Lab 4, we're going to look at how we can use the comparison operators that we spoke of in lecture last week, along with the while loop, in order to ensure that the user has entered a valid input and that they don't move on in the program until that valid input is entered. Next, the good thing to do would be to complete discussion board 4, which is a free code camp blog that compares interpreted versus compiled languages. The reason I think that's important to do this week is we're going to move towards MATLAB at the beginning of the week into C towards the end of the week. And MATLAB, of course, is interpreted and C is compiled. So you can just see some general trends and advantages and disadvantages of those languages. As you'll see when you get into the particular blog, it's not like languages are exclusively interpreted or compiled. It's more complicated, but it's a good framework to think about when comparing languages, and generally speaking, using another framework that we've had in the course up until now. High-level languages generally, interpreted languages are generally high-level because you don't have to think about how the underlying hardware works in order to write code in them. Versus compiled languages, usually there's a little more responsibilities on the part of the coder to write to use syntax that is considerate of the actual architecture of the computer. So compiled languages are generally lower level languages. We're going to have a couple lectures this week. In fact, 3. The first lecture is array and matrix operations in MATLAB. It's really quick. It's about a 25-minute single module video. Once you've watched that, you'll be able to do homework 3, which mostly is going to cover the concepts of conditional execution again. The only way you can learn loops and if statements and so on is to actually just write a bunch of examples. In addition, there is a homework section related to the array and matrix operation content in lecture 6. So don't start homework 3 until you finish lecture 6. We're going to have 2 other lectures this week. Lecture 7 is going to give you a brief introduction of what our final course project is going to be about. If you remember, in terms of how the grades are actually aligned in the course, we don't have a final exam, but we do have a final project. And then the last lecture that I'll record for the week on Friday, it might not get up until Saturday, is just going to introduce you to the basic concepts of the C language. So, and then for the remainder of the course, other than the final project, we'll be working nearly exclusively in C. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Exam scores are really, really good. I think I've graded all the timed exams for those of you that have turned them in so far. One person is still outstanding, but he's reached out to me, so that's okay. And I'll look at the take-home exams hopefully in the next day or so. But assuming that you didn't have any problem with the lab, I assume that you found that part pretty easy as well. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.